What's good, everybody? This is Y and Z, conversations between the generations. Generation Y, aka the millennials. The name's Jay Clark. Generation Z being the other one.
The other one is crazy.
That's
Let
what.
me give a proper introduction.
Oh, okay, so
I am representing Generation Z,
come on.
the future of us all. I am Xavier D. Lewis, and this is the Lewis brand. Thank you very much for tuning in to Y and Z today. We are chopping it up here with Mr. Old Guy over there. He's probably going to go soak in some Epsom salt after this because, it's still kind of early for him and he probably hasn't soaked for the day. It's coming up to midday. So, and then he has to get ready for supper in a little bit. So, that's what he does.
So I'm gonna do to you what we wish we saw Walls do to JD Vance the other night. Actually, probably not, because we're probably gonna be on the same side for a lot of today. You're gonna get easy today. But anyways, like, share, subscribe, YZ the Divide, the Lewis brand, J Clark 787. Yeah, we had the VP debate this week. And I don't know if you're used to this, but what were your thoughts? Let me just jump. What
I
you think
mean,
about the VP debate earlier this week?
it felt like it gave 2008, 2016, well, no, 2008, 2012 debate style.
That,
We haven't, of course, we haven't seen it in the last two cycles of debates, but it gave quality political debate that you would think that you would get from presidential debates. It was about policy. It wasn't necessarily about picking on the other person. And I think a lot of the American people were surprised about that because the last two rounds of presidential debates in the cycles in 2016 and in 2020, oh, they were coming for throats.
well, that's because you got all these illegal immigrants. And so these illegal immigrants are making me debate bad up here. My God. Yeah, that's how it's been before. I like you've seen, I guess, some of 2008 when you was 6 years old.
Yeah.
Young and not probably comprehending anything that's really going on. But yeah, that's how it was supposed to be. It was actually quite boring for the most part. I wouldn't say for the most part neither side did bad or terrible. They both had.
No, I don't think that's the consensus at all. I think everybody is saying that at least for the most part, that's kind of what you expect from a vice presidential debate, is that they're just gonna argue for their main running mate, for the presidential candidate on the ticket.
Neat. Both of them had a role to play. Like I said, we wanted to see more. As my wife says, Walsh gives her Joe Biden in '08 energy. That elder,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
that Uncle. That's when he really became Uncle Joe.
Right. Right.
We kind of wanted more of that out of Walsh, but that wasn't his role last night because nobody likes JD. And so JD's role was trying to be more likable, hence why he had probably more makeup than any man should really be wearing.
Bro, when I say JD came on that screen and I said, "Oh my God, JD got on a soft beat on national television."
He didn't go heavy with the eyebrows though. Even my wife was like, "Oh, he went light on the eyebrows this time."
But the eyeliner,
I'm
when
not gonna
I
lie.
saw it,
His lips were super glossy during the whole thing too. I was like, "What
I
the
was like,
man Vaseline up a
is
lip
this
gloss
why
heavy?"
he's not drinking the water? Is he worried that the gloss is gonna come off? It was it was something I was like, why does his eyes look more blue? Is it like what's going on? I had to dissect
It's
it.
the illegal immigrants. The illegal immigrants
Right.
made me pick this shade, and that's what I had to put on my face.
I think the highlight of the debate is definitely him getting into it with the moderator.
Why won't you let me lie? And then he got lucky
Bro,
because they let him slide on a huge lie. JD went to some serious gaslighting with that
definitely.
whole Trump saved Ace the Obamacare Act. With that, it's like,
Come on, man. We know what the facts are. It's almost disheartening or insulting. I'll put it that way. It's insulting that you keep these lies going. They're gonna keep them going, and they say them like they're truth.
and that's where taking the candidates out of this. I need these anchors. And as someone who studied journalism, my degree is in
Right?
journalism. Let me tell you some of the questions I'd ask if Jay Clark was the moderator.
Yeah, yeah. Listen to Jay Clark moderation edition.
Sir, why is your candidate so obsessed with not being able to tell the truth? Point blank, period. Bam. That's question number one. What issue does your candidate have with not telling the truth?
Simple as that.
The
I mean, and
position
don't get me wrong, Tim had his fair share of slip ups there.
politicians will slip up. There is a difference, as we all saw at the end. As we all the moment everybody was talking about when Walls specifically asking about 2020. What is the issue that you and your candidate have, that you and the leading candidate of your party have with telling the truth?
Bruh said that is a damning non-answer. When Tim said that, I said, yes, that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was.
And JD got off easy. We're not going to be on this too much longer. But like I said, we wanted to see Walls whoop that ass.
But Tim ain't gonna do that, man. It's just from a different type of politicians and the way he's come up in his, political walk has been a lot different from what we've been accustomed to see the last 2 years.
Self-proclaimed bad debater.
Right.
That's not his forte. But let me tell you, if Jay Clark was the debater up on the stage, especially in the portion where they was talking about the wall, because it's all about the illegal. Every issue is about all these damn illegal immigrants. And Wallace was talking about the whole fact that Trump shot down that Trump had the Republican Party pull out of that bill. How you don't like JD's ass up right there, sir. Why didn't you vote for this? Or simply because there's been plenty of statistics being put out there about how much he's missing. And because at one point, it'll bring it full circle. Like all this, she's been in charge. She's done this. First of all, what are the VPs? Second question, do you know what the duties of the vice president of the United States are?
Nope, they don't.
Simply. Tim said it at one point. I forget which point. It might have been in the housing point where he's been like, that's not her job. That was on Congress. And I would have looked just at JD. Aren't you a member?
Aren't you a senator?
Aren't you a senator? So y'all mad at this in action? Tell us, what's going on, JD? You in Congress not voting, not showing up. Let us know.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. And I really wish, if anything, Walls would have lit in on that. Like, hey, you're a lawmaker yourself.
You know how this works.
This whole Project 2025 wants to bring too much power to the executive branch and executive power. But currently, under the current regime, they're going by the Constitution. And the Constitution states that the legislative branch are the lawmakers.
They asked him about that one time, and he ain't answered. He dodged. There were so many softballs in that realm. I've been like, you gonna take some accountability here. But yeah, question number 2: do you actually know what the responsibilities of the vice president are laid out in the Constitution? Because, but yeah, nice, boring, simple, how it used to be. We'll see what happens from here. Get ready.
Like, we used to get a few. I think I got compared to 2016 and 2020 is nothing, but I used to get happy for Obama little slick one-liners in 2012 against Mitt Romney. Wow. They were classy, they were sweet, simple, and then they were good. Then you got DJT. He came in and just blew the cap off and made it a reality TV show.
And that's what you were really hoping for in this election. And I don't think I do think Walls could have. But Walls and the DNC had a strategy and party and roadmap, and he stuck to it. And I don't disagree with that. But we really wanted somebody up there with some Kamala spirit or some Obama spirit.
Because JD deserves that.
No.
He's an a-hole, bro.
Man, I don't want to say this, but I got to say it because every time he tried to answer, all I heard was, hey, I'm just a regular white guy like you. Hey, I'm normal white guy. I'm normal white guy. I'm normal white guy. And all this makeup.
That's all it was. And crazy enough, I watched the Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix, and they mentioned Donald Trump in the documentary. And people in the documentary are saying it's crazy how the pro wrestling culture, or like, the WWE culture, has kind of just bled into society more and more as the years go on. They were like, you literally elected a guy to the presidency that does nothing but act like a on-screen pro wrestler.
That's a deeper topic for another day. But essentially, the entertainmentification of everything, including the 24 hours news cycle and gamification of it all. We'll touch that on another day. But for now, we're gonna move on to Y and Z conversation between the generations. We're gonna get a little more respectful.
Most definitely, man.
Um,
It's been a past rough few months.
so this week we got the news that one of those dads, in some way, shape, or form, has probably played a father figure role in your life. John Amos died back in August. And that's because one brother knew and didn't tell the rest of the family. So everybody literally found out this week. And that's been on top of what we saw last month. James Earl Jones going, Frankie Beverly. Like, we've lost some heavy hitters. And
Yeah.
so we just wanted to pay some respect to some of these heavy hitters because we didn't really get the chance to because hurricanes and stuff like that and timing. And so we really, especially between James Earl Jones and John Amos, like iconic, like everybody talks about Cosby because of the Cosby Show. We know, Cliff Huxtable, Uncle Phil, uh,
Yeah.
Carl Winslow gets brought up, but one of the most iconic father figures, James Earl Jones as Darth Vader, good or bad, and Mufasa and King Joffrey. And then you have John Amos, the man who played James Evans on Good Times.
That's all he ever had to play.
He played also in Coming to America. What's McDowell? What was the
Oh, McAllister's. I mean, no, McDowell's.
McDowell? What
McDowell's.
was the first? I forget what his first name was, but so
I
him
have
and
no
James Earl
clue.
Jones in
Oh,
the same film together.
he
Um,
ran McDowell's. Two all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese on a non-sesame
Sesame
seed
Street.
bun.
And then not in a father role, but to an extent, to Kizzy, you got
Right,
grown
right.
up Kunta Kinte. Like these was icons, icons. Like I saw John Amos one time in a one man stage play or a date night at a small theater in Maryland, and it was great. Just to see like that
Yeah.
kind of class and presence on stage, like just he's one of the ones, man. John Amos was like even outside something like you ever seen like some of them black exploitation roles he did, and it's like with Cosby and Sydney and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's just classics. Like that's one of the ones.
Like the question becomes, do you think that, okay, if we're just talking about like black films and black television, with those father figure roles and how they played a part in the viewers' lives, right? How many people can you say felt like James Evans was their dad? How many people felt like Mufasa was their dad?
Or not simply was their dad, but what I've seen a lot is James Evans was the type of dad I had. That was my
Yeah,
dad. Like not necessarily like they were emblematic of the father figure that they had in their lives. So it's like, oh yeah, I had the same type of dad. Yep, we right here. That was my
right,
dad.
right.
I've seen plenty of clips like that. So not necessarily in a I didn't have situation, but also like, oh, they portrayed what I had growing up or what
I
was.
mean, that's for the masses, but I mean, some people could probably say,
Oh,
I mean, they
yeah,
didn't have a
yeah,
father, yeah,
yeah,
they didn't
sure,
have a
some do
father
too.
figure, so maybe but that was just such the impact that those characters would have on our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Like
you see that going forward, though? Do you
no,
see?
no, no. And here's why. So let's say take the 2010s decade. Who is, and I'll ask you specifically as that's your pop era culture time. Who is your leading actors, black actors, not named Will Smith or Denzel Washington from that time?
I want to say especially when we're like the black TV dad role.
Oh no! Don't limit it to a dad.
Oh,
High like this is the like stamp like you are. Let me ask the question this way: we know who the greats are. James Earl
right.
is a great. More contemporary, Denzel Washington, Will Smith from that
Would
era.
you argue that Anthony Anderson made his biggest impact in the 2010s with Blackish?
Not a question of impact. It's the question of you are that range of an actor. No disrespect to Anthony. He's not in that same class.
Mm.
He's not in that same class.
He's not. I wouldn't say that.
Here we go. I'm a Google real time experiment. Top male black actors. We're gonna see who actually comes from
Would
this.
you put Michael B. Jordan there? Would you put
Maybe. Michael's on the way, but I don't.
okay, with his death, I mean, would you put Chadwick Boseman there?
Chadwick was on the way. He was. He is the. He was. He's the one who I had in mind. Who, if because it's not. It's not a class you're gonna just take everybody in. Like this.
Right, right, right.
My Howard brother, Chadwick Boseman, was like, especially with Black Panther and the work there, is I
Definitely.
think on the precipice. Like I think, like literally, I think it was like, yeah, like you right there.
Because
You have the
people, because that was that big mainstream thing. Everybody wasn't watching Get On Up, the James Brown movie. Everybody didn't watch the Jackie Robinson movie that he did amazing in as well. This dude was racking up his here I'm about to say discography,
filmography.
filmography, right? He was just racking it up and he was doing great in each role.
So here we go. Ready? Top male black actors: Denzel, Will
Uh-huh.
Smith, Jamie Foxx, Samuel Morgan. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Terrence Howard, Eddie Murphy,
Terrence Howard is on the list.
Eddie
Shout out to my nigga Terrence.
Eddie Murphy, Forrest Whitaker, Lawrence Fishburne, Danny Glover, Lorenz Tate, Sidney Poitier, Don Cheadle, Michael B. Jordan. He is the first one who is,
Of my age.
well, not even of your age, from like the 2000s on. Everybody
For
else,
real. Everybody else had established their reign over being a
or
black male actor
or we're
in the
working hard. Continuing on, then you got James Earl Jones, Jeffrey Wright, Michael Ealy,
Michael Ealy. Yeah, late
Cuba,
night.
Billy
Coming
D, Omar Epps, Morris Chestnut, Tay Diggs, Blair Underwood, Giancarlo
you could give Morris and Tay the 2000s.
No, definitely 90s. Definitely 90s. Definitely 90s. Ice Cube, Anthony Mackie, Jamon Hansu, Ving Rhames, Mekhi Phifer, Michael Clark Duncan, rest in peace. Tyrese, questionable. Chris Rock,
Tyrese who? The
Tyrese,
singer?
I mean, Transformers, I guess. But hang on, let me finish. Chris Rock, Bill Cosby, Wesley, Tyler, Perry. I guess you can maybe give Tyler, but he's questionable. Martin Lawrence, Richard Pryor, Keith David, Mos Def, Kevin Hart, Ossie Davis, rest in peace, Lance Gross. He's one you could give, another Howard brother.
Give Kevin the 2000s.
Okay. Louis Gossett Jr., rest in peace, Derek Luke, Shamar Moore, Terry Crews, John Amos, Dennis Haybert, Mario Van Peebles,
Tomorrow Moore, you can get the 2000s.
Leon, and Chadwick Boseman. Michael B. Jordan is the only person 2010 on from that list.
No, that's true. Now that's true.
And let's be honest, that list, as you heard, includes name that goes back to like the 50s and or 60s and 70s. Cool. There is a proportionate number, I would argue, for the most part, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. 2010s have one for one. To go back to your question, is this going to continue? No. No.
I think it's just still too early to tell. I think there are some potentials right now.
We are in 3 months, right? Yeah, in 3 months. We're halfway through the next decade. You should have an idea who's like
But
that's like being in the 90s and not knowing that Denzel was like by the 90s, you knew Denzel was it.
it's different now, though. But it's like what we always talk about, though. It's harder to weed out so much. So I think like the name of the game back then was that there was a select and you had to really be good. I think the name of the game now is just endurance. Whoever is going to last the test of times with what's going on.
You made my case for me. Let's go ahead and get to this generational battle. So since once again, RIP James Earl Jones and John Amos and all the others we lost, but we wanted to do this week's generational battle. Who is your top 5 black fathers? And
And I need explanations.
movies or TV. Um, so sir, go ahead. I'll
Let
give
me
you.
have number one.
I'll let you have one. Go ahead.
My number one. And I know this is not going to be everybody's number one, but I feel like this is one of the greatest roles he's ever played. It's one of my favorite black sitcoms. It's going to be Michael Kyle.
That's a good one. Okay.
Damon
I ain't mad
Wayans
at you.
is a freaking amazing as Michael Kyle.
Definitely slept on, and it's interesting watching reruns of my wife and kids be like, yeah, this is it's better than it. There's a little bit more respect. But no,
And I'm going to be honest. Can I be honest? I like Tashina better in My Wife and Kids than I like her in Martin.
not mad at that take. Not mad at that take. That's another discussion for another. Okay, Michael Kyle. Um, I'm going because I know this is black fathers, but you felt this one, whether you was black, white, green, red, blue, or orange, and that's James Earl Jones as Mufasa.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like just that tender playfulness with your son, your child, that teaching, that educating your child, that soft yet firm or firm but soft, like that multi approach is something I try to embody now with my little man. And yeah, we all
Yeah.
felt it when dad, dad, and then just you can't help. And I know that like that scene when he appeared to Simba, in the stars, and you just remember, and it's just like, oh,
He looks in the water and it's him, but it's him. It's
yeah. James Earl Jones as Mufasa. There we go. Number
my
two.
number two is gonna be, and this is a newer show, but I feel like this actor has been around for a long time. He's definitely cemented his role as a comedian and actor. And I'm gonna go Joe Carmichael from the Carmichael Show, played by
Oh,
David Allen Greer.
interesting one.
David Allen Greer is, I think he's definitely slept on. I think people like him when they see him and stuff, but I don't know if anybody is just readily seeking out saying, hey, I want to go see this because David Allen Greer is in it. And I think that should be a conversation to be had. The dude is hilarious. He's great. He knows how to play a role, especially the role of a father. If you really want to see like that essence of, that whole generation in the 21st century, I think
Interesting dynamic. Yeah.
the Carmichael Show is a watch for a
Yeah.
lot of people because it's very resemblant of what a lot of us are already going through with our parents, trying to be more in this new life of generation.
I ain't mad. Okay. You brought it home. I'm not mad at you. Decent pick. Number two. This is how it's gonna work out just because RIP, but I'm gonna go with John Amos as James Evans in Good Times.
Yeah,
And here's specifically why. Is he necessarily, especially when we look back at it now with
right,
2020
right,
eyes? Because I've been seeing some of these clips like, oh, you're not getting away with this nowadays, or we call him that abusive, or we call him that problematic now. But for James, it was all out of a place of love. And I'm not saying that absolves him or anything like that.
right,
But
right,
you have to give credit for that role and that character just trying to provide for his family and put his children in the best place to win that they could in the circumstances they were in. At
right.
the end of the and working with what he had. At the end of the day, that's all it is. Like I saw a clip early this morning of him talking at the table with Thelma and JJ about, they just graduated, what are they trying to do? And you see him give advice and stuff to Thelma, and then he also gives advice and stuff to JJ. Different, of course, there's comedic stuff in there, but at the heart of it, he's trying to help set his kids up and give them advice for how to survive and what's the best path in, in the world that they were in. And you got to like, you may not agree with some of the methods, but you have, that was the time back then.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That was the time, and I think it was that whole show just did a good job of depicting what living as a black family in inner city anywhere would be
Mhm.
like. So I think he did a great job of just, depicting that inner city dad, that I know probably a lot of people can relate to. A lot of
Yeah.
people.
So that's my
Uh,
number three, sir. What you got?
my number three, I'm definitely going to go with Pops, John Witherspoon from the Wayans brothers. Kid you not,
Really? You going Pops?
man, what? Hilarious. Pops,
Bang, 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 bang.
It's
My
so
love
funny.
goes bang, 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 all time classic. I'm not.
Man, what? And it's definitely because he just resembled a lot of father figures that I grew up around, and you'll hear another one that I'm gonna pick next if you don't pick him.
Okay.
That definitely resembled a lot of those father figures growing up. So I'm gonna go with Pops John with this one.
Okay. I'm curious. I'm going to do to you what we all hope Walls did to JD last night or the other night, and it ain't happened. You're not making bad picks and stuff like that, but just coming with that heavyweight. Number three, and I'm surprised he made it this long. Heath Cliff Huxtable. Regardless of what you think about Bill Cosby, we all know, and he's been rated multiple times over and over again as the number one TV dad of all time. Heathcliff Huxtable. Not ain't much need to be said there. Number four, sir.
Yeah, no, no, yeah, no explanation.
Go.
I'm definitely gonna go with this one. This character had a huge influence on my parents, and therefore I feel like I grew up with this individual too, because my dad was so influenced by this individual, and that's Fred Sanford, Red Fox. My dad and my uncles can quote you whole episodes of Sanford and Son right now. And so I feel like I grew up in the house with Fred Sanford. Who you calling a dummy, dummy? That whole thing. So, I think the closest resemblance to who is very close to my dad is definitely Fred Sanford. So, of course, he's going to make my top five.
Okay. I'm gonna come a little current, contemporary now. Just because I've hit you with the 70s, I hit you with the 80s, I hit you with the 90s. I'll come to the 2010s. Um, I'm gonna go Anthony Anderson in Blackish.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just a very updated black father figure, one of the few we've had during that decade, but definitely in the trend of fathers we had seen before. Once again, in a more contemporary space, dealing with some of the same issues, or even some deeper in some issues that we didn't really see touched on before, in this contemporary aspect, and yeah, Anthony Anderson's role in Blackish,
Yeah.
my number four.
Think definitely think that's a great father figure. And like you said, a good one for this era. One of the few. Not a lot of them. This last one is a hard pick because I still have a few
Mm-hmm.
that I want to pay homage to. Let me do honorable mention. Honorable mention is going to be Oscar Proud. I don't know how many people watch the Proud Family, but Oscar Proud in the Proud Family is a great TV dad. But I will go ahead and put this person up there. The respect is due, especially in the aspect of the storyline of the show. He wasn't the actual dad. He was the uncle. And that's none other than Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil took in Will like he was his own and didn't treat him any less of, a child to him, which is, it's not my story, but it is some people's story growing up in the Black experience. Something happens with your family, whatever, your relatives take you in or whatever like that. And so that was a different aspect that we had yet to see on television. This whole aspect of my father figure really isn't my father. Not that my father is dead, because my father is alive, but he's just not in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But Uncle Phil, real OG.
Okay, closed out strong there. Okay, so I'll follow you. Honorable mention, Randall Pearson from This Is Us. He showed us
Mm.
he showed us a softer side, that we don't necessarily always get in our depictions. That necessarily wasn't always allowed in previous era depictions.
Right.
Definitely, he gave you that softer, more in touch with your emotions, what I'm feeling, even through his struggles of what he was dealing with. But that trying to go for my dreams and goals while also try to loving my wife and my daughters and supporting their dreams, their visions, and how they're navigating through like that beautiful depiction. So honorable mention there. Number five in that solidified spot is slightly similar to yours. I'm going Bernie Mac from the Bernie Mac show because
Man. Yes.
outside of being hilarious, once again, slightly in line with James Evans' character, You may not always agree with the methods, but here you had a man who didn't have a family. He and his wife were doing their thing, which I'm not
Right.
mad at if that's what you choose. And through life circumstances, had to take on these three children. And so he took on that responsibility, stepped up, and you see him kind of essentially learning how to be a father in a place that you don't traditionally learn how. Not day one. I'm
Right.
getting kids with some fully fledged identities and issues. And so how does that work out? And so that
And
was
it's
definitely a strong.
three of them.
Right, right. More than yeah. At the same time. So not just so it went from no kids to three
To
kids.
three.
And two of them or one of them wasn't really a kid. You're pretty much a teenager at that point.
Right.
Bringing
Exactly.
its own issues. And so yeah, seeing that dynamic play out once again, yeah, outside of Bernie being Bernie. Yeah, definitely from the
That was
2000s.
great. It definitely was a great dynamic to watch the Bernie Mac show, and what it was, you know. And I'll even go a step further. I know they're not black dads, they weren't black characters, but they're just some overall great TV characters that still would have made an impact, TV dads that
Okay.
still made an impact on black culture.
Well,
Uh,
take the here you go. Pop quiz. Let's go three more deep. Who are three, let's just call them honorable mentions, real quick, who aren't necessarily black? We don't just watch black content. So who are some non-black TV and film fathers?
I think one for me would definitely be the dad from Full House.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
like I love Full House.
I gotta go off of Boy Meets World.
Great
Tom
dad.
Matthews.
But I'll even say this. I think in that show, you got such a great dynamic. I would put him as a TV dad, but wasn't a dad. He was just a father figure in the show. Mr. Finky. Mr. Finkel.
Mr. Feeney.
Feeney. Bam. Mr.
Look,
Feeney was
I,
a father figure in that show.
that's okay, okay, okay. I see you. Okay. Number two on this quickie. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Um, Smallville. Uh,
Mm,
Jonathan Kent. Even though we don't necessarily agree with him as a person now, not,
right.
not. But Jonathan Kent, the character, and what that represents in essentially Superman lore, low key, is that I have this child who is from another world, literally, and is experiencing life in another way with more capability and power than I could ever imagine. But I'm still finding out how to guide him through life and teach him how to be a man. And he is what makes Superman Superman. Part of the
Right.
reason Superman is Superman is because he had Jonathan Kent as his father and lost him early on. So yeah, Jonathan Kent, bam, as portrayed by John Snyder, I believe, in Smallville, even though John Snyder is a.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, final non-black TV dad.
And I'll even, I mean, I'm gonna stretch it here with this one
Okay.
because I'm gonna still go with that like father figure-esque type of feel. And I'm gonna go with Detective Jim Gordon and his iteration in Gotham and who he is to a young Bruce Wayne in that TV show. I feel like it's a very strong that it could be a stretch. Definitely could be a stretch. You know what? Better yet, I won't even say Detective Jim Gordon. I'm gonna say Alfred. Alfred is a father figure to Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, yeah,
Bruce doesn't
yeah.
become Batman truly, and we're just being real. He doesn't become Batman if he doesn't have that Alfred.
That is true. That is true. Ooh, okay. This where it gets difficult. I'm like, that I really enjoyed non-black. They got some issues.
Yeah, yeah, that.
Here we go. Here we go. Easy. Back to all of us. Jack Pearson. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Jack Pearson. All of us. Not much needs to be said. Nah, let's go ahead and have a little cry. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. Let us know who you think had the best. Well, two here, the best black TV movie dads, the best non-black TV movie dads. Um, like, share, subscribe. Let us know your opinions. Thank you for joining us. Why is he the divide? J Clark 787. That generation over there, who is the real Xavier Lewis, the Lewis brand.
That's it.
Until next time. No quip today, sir. I'm gonna let you off.
Peace out, y'all.